Welcome back to my channel, The Thought Echo. Have you ever been in a situation where a cyber attack or a ransomware incident forced you to declare a disaster? In today's digital landscape, cyber threats are not just IT problems. They are critical business risks that can bring organizations to a standstill. As cyber criminals grow more sophisticated, organizations must ensure that their IT governance frameworks are strong enough to prevent, mitigate, and respond to such threats effectively. IT governance plays a crucial role in defining cybersecurity policies, ensuring compliance, and aligning security strategies with business objectives. Without it, companies risk financial losses, reputational damage, and regulatory penalties. This discussion will explore the intersection of IT governance and cybersecurity, examining real-world incidents, lessons learned, and best practices for safeguarding organizations from cyber disasters. Let us start by exploring IT security governance and its connection to organizational security programs and project management. Next, we will examine the COBIT framework, highlighting its benefits for organizations and its relevance to IT governance. I will then delve into organizational security policies, the impact of organizational culture on security, and the significance of conducting a gap analysis. Following this, I will cover supply chain security, personal security, configuration management, and change management. Finally, I will discuss IT audits and related tools, the role of service-level objectives and service-level agreements, and the importance of maintaining a chain of custody in security processes. A central theme in cybersecurity and continuous improvement is risk management. One way organizations manage risk is through information security programs, which encompass all policies and procedures related to security. These programs define the interaction between people, technology, and business processes to ensure security in modern environments. The fundamental question driving information security programs is, how do we protect assets? Today, the primary focus is on data assets and data privacy. Organizations must identify risks associated with data assets and develop strategies to manage them effectively. Let us talk about the core security pillars. CIA Triad. An information security program is built on three key pillars: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. CIA. Confidentiality means ensuring only authorized individuals can access sensitive data. This can be enforced through mechanisms such as data encryption at rest and in transit, and data loss prevention, DLP, solutions to prevent unauthorized data exfiltration. Second one, integrity. It means guaranteeing data authenticity and ensuring it remains unaltered. Techniques like file hashing help detect unauthorized changes at even the smallest level. Hashing also plays a role in identifying malware variants on systems. Finally, number 3, availability. It means ensuring IT systems and data remain accessible when needed. Metrics like recovery time objective, RTO, determine the maximum downtime an organization can tolerate before facing serious consequences. Recovery point objective, RPO, defines the maximum allowable data loss in case of incidents like ransomware attacks. Now is the time to learn about implementing security controls to mitigate risk. An effective security program involves identifying threats and implementing security controls to mitigate risk. For example, protecting credit card data may involve encryption of data at rest and network perimeter firewall security. Mitigating insider threats may involve access control policies and real-time monitoring. However, risk cannot be completely eliminated. Therefore, incident response planning is essential. Organizations must prepare for potential security breaches by developing incident response plans to minimize impact. Let us learn more about the role of security awareness and testing Employee security awareness training is a critical factor in an organization's overall security posture. Cyber threats like phishing emails, phone scams, and social engineering attacks continue to exploit human vulnerabilities. A well-trained workforce significantly reduces these risks. Additionally, periodic security testing ensures ongoing protection. This includes vulnerability scans, which helps us identifying weaknesses in systems, penetration testing that simulates real-world attacks to evaluate security effectiveness. For an information security program to be effective, it must follow a structured security strategy, which includes implementing a risk management framework to identify, assess, and mitigate risks, conducting root cause analysis to prevent recurring security breaches, aligning security initiatives with business objectives by identifying critical business processes, IT systems, and data assets. If you are managing something, you must be able to measure it. Measuring security effectiveness is one of the critical aspects. To assess the effectiveness of an information security program, organizations use the Balanced Scorecard, BSC. This framework provides a structured approach to measuring security performance and its alignment with business objectives. A balanced scorecard helps organizations translate security strategies into actionable business objectives, measure compliance, customer satisfaction, leadership effectiveness, and operational efficiency. Continuously improve IT security in a cost-effective manner. Now let us learn about key areas of focus in security governance. 1. Business value perspective, which means identifying critical assets and evaluating the cost-effectiveness of security controls. Determining key stakeholders, example, shareholders, board members, and customers. 2. Regulatory compliance. It means adhering to security standards, laws, and industry regulations. Publishing a compliance mission statement that documents security commitments. And finally, the third one is future readiness and continuous improvement, that is enhancing customer satisfaction through technology optimizations. One example to consider can be optimizing cloud infrastructure for better performance while maintaining security. A robust information security program ensures that risk management, security controls, compliance, and business objectives are aligned. The balanced scorecard approach helps organizations track progress, measure security effectiveness, and drive continuous improvement. Ultimately, security must be an ongoing effort, adapting to evolving cyber threats and business needs to protect assets effectively. We've already explored information security programs and how they help manage risk to protect critical assets. These programs align closely with IT governance frameworks, which provide structured methodologies for risk management, compliance, and business alignment. One such framework is COBIT, Control Objectives for Information and Related Technology. A control objective refers to a specific security requirement, such as ensuring that only authorized devices can access a network. For instance, a security control like a centralized radius authentication server may regulate VPN access to enforce this objective. Other IT governance frameworks include TOGAF, the Open Group Architecture Framework. This focuses on enterprise architecture to ensure IT solutions align with business strategy. ITIL, Information Technology Infrastructure Library. This is a framework for streamlining IT processes to enhance service management and operational efficiency. Now, I want to take your attention towards IT governance and risk management. When information technology teams deploy a solution, they must evaluate all risks, including initial risk, before controls are implemented; residual risk, remaining risk after mitigation measures are in place; Organizations can adopt one or multiple frameworks to govern their IT landscape effectively. These frameworks are not mutually exclusive and often complement one another. Let us dive deep into COBIT. COBIT primarily focuses on control objectives and the implementation of security controls to mitigate risk, making it a risk management framework as well. The latest version, COBIT 2019, continuously evolves to keep up with industry changes, reinforcing the need for organizations to stay updated on framework revisions. The core purpose of COBIT is to maximize IT investment value, enhance IT system quality, and ensure business objectives align with IT solutions while minimizing risk. Implementing COBIT requires organizations to consider business goals and stakeholder needs. This includes consumer trust, shareholder confidence, and risk management. Business ethics, defined by organizational culture and HR and/or security policies, which must be enforced at all levels through leadership and accountability. Legal and regulatory compliance. Organizations must identify applicable laws and contractual obligations to integrate them into security policies. Cross-functional collaboration. Effective governance requires clear communication between business leaders and IT teams to avoid operational silos. COBIT establishes a compliance maturity model to assess how effectively an organization manages IT processes. Let us learn about the maturity level and what it means. A maturity level of 0, non-existent, means no governance structure in place. 1, initial, means ad hoc processes with no consistency, leading to operational chaos. 2, repeatable, means processes exist, but require significant manual effort. 3, defined, means standardized processes are established and documented. 4, managed and measurable, means governance effectiveness is measured through key performance indicators, KPIs. 5, optimized. Continuous improvement, prioritizing to align IT with business goals. The goal of COBIT is to reach maturity level 5, optimized, where IT governance and business strategy work seamlessly together. COBIT follows a structured life cycle to guide organizations through IT governance improvements. 1. Identify change drivers. What is prompting the need for change? Example: GDPR compliance due to handling European Union citizen data. 2. Assess current versus desired state. Where are we now, and where do we need to be? Example: current state could be lack of visibility over sensitive data, and desired state can be full GDPR compliance. 3. Define a roadmap to achieve compliance. Conduct gap analysis to determine missing controls. Develop a strategy for achieving compliance. 4. Implement governance and security controls. Example: implementing tools like Microsoft Azure Policy and Amazon Maci to classify and protect sensitive data. 5. Measure and improve. Use compliance assessments and security audits to ensure objectives are met. Continuously refine IT processes for better alignment with business needs. Please do refer to COBIT Toolkit and Governance Documentation. The COBIT 2019 Toolkit provides executive overviews explaining key differences from previous versions, spreadsheets detailing control objectives, which organizations can use to document security controls and track compliance. COBIT serves as a bridge between business strategy and IT governance, ensuring that technology investments align with organizational goals. By following a structured approach, organizations can enhance compliance, security, and operational efficiency, leading to continuous improvement in IT governance. Now is the right time to shift our focus towards IT security policies, its framework, enforcement, and implementation. IT security policies provide a structured framework to govern behavior within an organization. ensuring that security measures align with business processes and technological infrastructure. These policies apply to various IT systems, such as payment processing servers handling online transactions, HR systems managing employee pay stubs and records, medical equipment used in patient diagnosis and treatment. Security policies are often influenced by laws, regulations, and contractual agreements, which typically define security requirements rather than specific controls. For example, regulations may mandate the protection of patient medical records, but it is up to the organization to determine the best security controls to implement. Security policies are only effective if users are aware of them, they are consistently enforced, non-compliance has clear consequences. Policies should also be periodically reviewed to accommodate new cybersecurity threats. As the threat landscape evolves, organizations may need to update security policies to address emerging risks. Let us take a look at the key components of an IT security policy document. IT security policies are formal documents containing essential components, including 1. Revision history section that tracks updates to the policy over time. 2. Overview and purpose section that defines the policy's objectives. 3. Scope section that specifies whether the policy applies to a specific process, example, email usage. A technology system, example, VPN access. A business function, example, data storage security. 4. Policy details section that outlines specific rules, enforcement mechanisms, and compliance requirements. 5. Consequences for violations section that defines penalties for policy noncompliance. 6. Definitions of key terms section that clarifies terminology used within the policy. While there is no fixed order for these components, it is common to place revision history, overview, purpose, and scope at the beginning of the document. I would like to bring your attention to common IT security policy types. Organizations maintain multiple security policies, many of which apply to different user groups. Encryption policies define acceptable encryption ciphers and algorithms for securing data. Wireless communication policies regulate wireless network usage in business environments. Mobile device usage policies govern the use of company-owned and personal mobile devices. Internet and social media policies specify restrictions on sharing business-related information on social media, disclosing details about IT infrastructure, posting organization-related images or documents online. Email usage policies address encryption, digital signatures, and email forwarding restrictions. Password policies enforce best practices for password security. Let us talk about password policies and authentication mechanisms. A well-defined password policy includes minimum password length and complexity, uppercase, lowercase, symbols, numbers. Password expiration requirements to enforce periodic changes. Password history and reuse rules to prevent repeated passwords. Account lockout mechanisms to ensure accounts are locked accounts after multiple failed login attempts. However, given the increasing sophistication of cyber threats, organizations should also implement multi-factor authentication. Unlike passwords, a single-factor authentication method, MFA requires additional authentication steps, making unauthorized access significantly harder. Email security policies typically define when emails should be encrypted to ensure data confidentiality, use of digital signatures to verify sender authenticity and message integrity. Let us look at how encryption works. The sender encrypts an email using the recipient's public key. The recipient decrypts it using their private key. Since only the recipient has the private key, the message remains confidential. Let me reiterate how digital signatures work. The sender signs the message using their private key. The recipient verifies authenticity using the sender's public key. Email policies may also restrict email forwarding to external addresses to prevent data leaks, which can be enforced using data loss prevention (DLP) policies. Security policies must also ensure compliance with legal, regulatory, and ethical standards, such as restricting harassment or inappropriate content in emails, enforcing email retention rules as required by industry regulations. Example, financial trading compliance. Not all security policies directly involve technology, but when they do, they should be centrally enforced across users and devices. In large enterprises, security policies can be implemented using Microsoft Active Directory and Group Policy. This enforces password policies, access controls, and security settings across an organization's network. Microsoft Azure Policy and Intune. This manages cloud security configurations and mobile device security. Mobile device management, MDM, solutions like Kanji MDM enforce security controls on company-issued smartphones and tablets. By deploying automated security policy enforcement, organizations ensure consistent protection across all systems, reducing the risk of human error and non-compliance. Effective IT security policies provide a structured approach to securing technology, business processes, and user behavior. To be effective, they must be clearly defined and aligned with business objectives, regularly updated to address emerging threats, strictly enforced with measurable consequences, centrally deployed across enterprise IT infrastructure. By integrating security policies with technology and compliance frameworks, organizations can mitigate cybersecurity risks while ensuring operational efficiency and regulatory compliance. I would like to take your attention towards the role of organizational culture in risk management and security. Organizational culture plays a crucial role in how risk is perceived and managed within an organization. Culture evolves over time, often influenced by historical experiences that shape an organization's risk tolerance. Some organizations are inherently more risk-averse than others, and this mindset impacts the attitudes of employees, management, and executives towards security awareness. To achieve an effective risk management strategy, there must be a shared awareness of risk and a common security mindset across all levels of the organization. Since people are at the core of risk management, organizational culture largely determines how well security policies and procedures are adopted. Let us learn about key factors influencing organizational culture. Several factors shape an organization's security culture. 1. Internal politics and communication channels. How information flows within the organization significantly impacts security effectiveness. The ease of reporting security concerns and escalating risks influences response time and mitigation. 2. Behavioral motivators and security policies. Security policies control behavior in a risk-conscious manner, with clearly defined consequences for noncompliance. Employees are more likely to follow security protocols when they understand the rationale behind them. 3. Teamwork and shared vision. When employees feel part of a team working toward common security and business goals, the organization tends to have a stronger security posture. Every employee must understand their role in maintaining security, reinforcing the idea that risk management is a collective responsibility. 4. Security communication and incident reporting. Defined procedures for reporting suspicious activity are essential. Employees must know whom to contact when they detect potential security threats. 5. Security awareness training. One-time security training during onboarding is insufficient. Instead, Organizations should implement ongoing security awareness training, at least annually, tailored to different employee roles. Training should include current cyber threats, such as phishing scams, malware trends, and evolving attack vectors. Lessons learned from past security incidents should be integrated into future training to continuously improve security awareness. For a security-conscious culture to thrive, employees must internalize security best practices in their daily activities. This includes avoiding suspicious email links to prevent phishing attacks, understanding the importance of multi-factor authentication, MFA, despite its minor inconvenience, recognizing security protocols as part of the organization's overall risk management strategy. Security culture and risk management priorities vary depending on the audience within the organization. 1. Executive and management level, strategic metrics. Focuses on ensuring residual risk remains within acceptable limits and aligns IT processes with business goals. 2. IT and security teams, tactical metrics. Focuses on implementing security controls, such as MFA and encryption, and ensures technical security policies align with risk management strategies. Although security concerns differ across organizational levels, collaboration and shared responsibility are essential for an effective security posture. To modify organizational culture and enhance security awareness over time, organizations must assess the current state of security knowledge among employees. One effective approach is security testing. Organizations periodically simulate phishing attacks by sending test emails that mimic phishing scams. These emails do not cause harm, but allow IT teams to measure user responses and track security awareness. Example: if a test email is sent to 200 employees, tracking how many users click on a malicious link helps identify training gaps. This is just one example of measuring security awareness. Other methods include assessing compliance with security policies, tracking incident reporting rates, and conducting periodic security surveys. Organizational culture is also shaped by legal, regulatory, and contractual obligations, which dictate security policies and influence how employees interact with security protocols. Regulations set security requirements. Example: data protection laws. Security policies control user behavior to ensure compliance. Gap analysis helps organizations bridge the gap between their current security state and desired compliance goals. Organizational culture is a foundational element of security and risk management because every aspect of business operations is influenced by people. A strong security culture requires a shared understanding of security risks, clear policies, effective communication, and defined reporting mechanisms, ongoing security awareness training tailored to different roles, regular assessments and security testing to measure and improve security posture. By embedding risk-conscious behaviors into daily operations, organizations can strengthen their security culture and effectively manage cyber threats over time. Now, let us learn about security gap analysis, a key component of risk management. A security gap analysis is an essential part of a risk management framework, allowing organizations to assess their current state and define a roadmap to achieve their desired security, compliance, or business objectives. At its core, a gap analysis answers three fundamental questions. Where are we now? Current state. Where do we want to be? Desired state. What steps must be taken to bridge the gap? By identifying shortcomings in security policies, processes, or compliance, a gap analysis engages key stakeholders and ensures that the organization aligns with business objectives and regulatory requirements. Some organizations may refer to this as a needs analysis, but both terms fundamentally serve the same purpose. Let us look at purpose and scope of a security gap analysis. A security gap analysis can be conducted for various reasons, including achieving regulatory or legal compliance. Example: GDPR, PCI-DSS. Justifying security investments by demonstrating risks and required actions. Improving security processes, IT systems, or risk management controls. The scope of the analysis must be well defined. It could focus on a specific business process, such as conducting background checks on new hires, an IT system, such as ensuring financial email communications comply with industry regulations, data privacy policies, particularly for cloud storage, where data may be replicated across multiple geographic regions. Let us understand the benefits of performing a gap analysis. A well-executed gap analysis provides several key advantages. Identifies security gaps and compliance deficiencies. Defines specific, measurable goals for improvement. Outlines actionable steps to achieve compliance. Saves time and costs by focusing efforts on prioritized objectives. For example, an organization handling credit card transactions may conduct a gap analysis to ensure compliance with PCI-DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. By identifying existing weaknesses, the company can implement the necessary security controls to protect cardholder data effectively. Let us look at details of the steps in performing a security gap analysis. A structured approach ensures an effective security gap analysis. Step 1. Define the purpose and goals. Before conducting an analysis, the primary objective must be clearly defined. Common goals include security improvements to protect sensitive data, compliance with industry standards like PCI-DSS or GDPR, enhancing performance, such as reducing customer service response times. To measure success, organizations should determine relevant metrics, including key performance indicators, KPIs, business-focused metrics, key control indicators, KCIs, security-related controls, key risk indicators, KRIs, risk exposure measurements. Step 2. Assess the current state. Using a gap analysis checklist, organizations evaluate their existing security posture, policies, and procedures. All findings must be documented to ensure transparency and accountability. Step 3. Identify specific gaps. By comparing the current state to the desired state, organizations can pinpoint specific deficiencies. Example: current state. Customer service agents take 60 minutes to respond to client inquiries, leading to an average satisfaction rating of 3 out of 5. Desired state. Agents should respond within 15 minutes, aiming for a 5 out of 5 satisfaction score. At this stage, KPIs and security controls should be analyzed to determine the underlying causes of the gap. Step 4. Develop a gap analysis report. The final step is to compile findings into a structured report outlining identified gaps between current and desired security posture, specific actions and steps required to close the gap, recommendations on security controls, policies, or training enhancements. We do have additional considerations in a gap analysis. 1. Alignment with security policies. Organizations may need to update security policies to reflect new compliance or risk management strategies. 2. Third-party dependencies. Security controls may depend on business partners and vendors, cloud service providers managing sensitive data, external software dependencies affecting security. A gap analysis is typically conducted by security analysts or IT professionals, but must be presented to decision makers, executives, compliance officers, or IT leadership. These stakeholders use the findings to Allocate resources for risk mitigation. Prioritize security investments. Implement necessary changes across the organization. A gap analysis applies to various security and compliance scenarios, including GDPR compliance. Goal: achieve compliance with the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. Assessment: determine how much EU citizen data is collected and what security controls currently protect that data. Software development security. Goal: improve software security practices in the development pipeline. Assessment: identify gaps in debugging tools, testing methodologies, and secure coding practices. Vulnerability scanning and risk mitigation. Goal: reduce the attack surface by addressing system vulnerabilities. Assessment: conduct vulnerability scans on IT systems and applications. Identify weaknesses. Example: outdated software, misconfigurations. Implement corrective measures, such as automated patch management, to ensure vulnerabilities are addressed promptly. A security gap analysis is a critical tool for assessing compliance, security risks, and operational efficiency. It provides organizations with a clear roadmap to bridge security gaps and improve overall risk posture. By following a structured step-by-step approach, organizations can clearly define their current security status, establish measurable goals for improvement, implement corrective actions efficiently, ensure continuous security enhancements over time. Ultimately, a gap analysis strengthens an organization's security strategy, compliance efforts, and risk management framework, making it an indispensable process in today's evolving cybersecurity landscape. Now, let us understand supply chain IT security. Most organizations today rely on third-party vendors, service providers, and external resources, making IT supply chain security a critical aspect of risk management. But what exactly does IT supply chain security entail? The supply chain includes both internal and external services that an organization depends on. These services may involve internal departmental services that support IT operations, processes and workflows, including automated pipelines for custom software development, third-party scripts or software components, particularly those not developed in-house, hardware and equipment, which must be securely manufactured and properly configured, business partnerships, where compliance with security standards is essential, mobile applications, even those downloaded from trusted app stores, as they can be compromised by attackers who hijack legitimate developer certificates. Supply chain security risks can arise from both hardware and software components. If an organization engages third-party vendors for IT infrastructure, whether hardware, software, or business services, specific evaluation criteria must be established to assess vendor trustworthiness. Key questions to consider when selecting a vendor include: is the vendor reputable? Do they have a history of applying security patches? Do they offer a bug bounty program? A bug bounty demonstrates the vendor's commitment to identifying and fixing vulnerabilities. Since backdoors and malware can be embedded in software and hardware, organizations must take proactive security measures. Let us understand the importance of patch management and secure code practices. Applying security patches is crucial for both hardware and software, yet organizations must consider: does the vendor release timely security patches? Are package repositories secure? Especially for Linux distributions and containerized applications. Is the source of the software verified? For example, downloading a containerized application from Docker Hub without verifying its origin could introduce malware. Let us learn more about security risks in software development pipelines. Modern software development relies on continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines, which introduce unique security concerns. Code modification, testing, packaging, and deployment must be secured to prevent compromise at any stage. A compromised developer workstation could introduce malicious code into repositories and software builds. Delivery system compromises can inject malicious scripts during software installation. Example of a supply chain attack. A single malware infection on a developer's workstation could 1. Modify source code before it is committed to a repository. 2. Introduce malicious code into software builds. 3. Distribute infected software to thousands of devices. Unpatched or improperly secured developer environments present a single point of failure, requiring extra security precautions in such settings. One of the biggest risks to supply chain security is human error. Example: a developer receives a phishing email offering a free reward. Clicking the link infects their machine, compromising an entire development pipeline. Solution: ongoing security awareness training for employees at all levels can mitigate phishing and social engineering risks. Another crucial element of supply chain security is network connectivity. How does your organization connect to the internet or cloud services? Are WAN connections from reputable providers? Is redundancy in place for mission-critical services? From an availability standpoint, organizations should avoid single points of failure in internet connectivity. Consider multiple internet service providers or dedicated network circuits for mission-critical cloud services. Ensure secure network routes for branch office and cloud connectivity. When relying on third-party vendors, organizations must establish strict security criteria, ensuring cloud providers follow industry security standards. Business partners comply with contractual security policies. Managed service providers undergo security vetting. If a managed service provider remotely accesses your network, additional precautions should be taken, such as investigating the provider's history for security incidents or rogue employees, assessing their internal security policies before granting access to critical systems. With increasing reliance on third-party vendors, software suppliers, and cloud services, supply chain security must be a top priority. Organizations can mitigate supply chain risks by evaluating third-party vendors before integrating them into IT operations, ensuring proper patch management and avoiding unverified software repositories, implementing security controls in CI/CD pipelines to prevent code tampering, enforcing security awareness training to reduce phishing and social engineering threats, securing network infrastructure and eliminating single points of failure, requiring security compliance from partners, vendors, and cloud providers. By adopting a proactive approach, organizations can safeguard their IT supply chains, prevent potential compromises, and ensure business continuity in an evolving cybersecurity landscape. I would like to shift gears and take you all on a journey to understand personnel management and its role in risk management. Personnel management plays a crucial role in risk management, as it involves insider threats, access control, hiring practices, employee awareness, and data privacy compliance. While insider threats often do not imply malicious intent, they can still introduce significant risks. For example, organizations with remote workers, external contractors, or business partnerships face unique security challenges. To mitigate these risks, organizations should adopt the Zero Trust security model, which applies internal security controls as rigorously as external ones. This ensures that security policies protect assets from both intentional and unintentional threats, whether it's an infected USB drive, a compromised user account, or an accidental security misconfiguration. The principle of least privilege and insider threats. A key component of zero trust security is the principle of least privilege, which ensures that users are granted only the access necessary to perform their job functions, nothing more. In a Windows environment, this means avoiding adding users to the administrators group unless absolutely necessary. Granting contractors excessive permissions or access to facilities can introduce unnecessary security risks. Over-provisioning access rights makes organizations more vulnerable to internal misuse or external exploitation. Let us consider a real-world example. One of the retail corporation security breaches occurred due to an HVAC repair contractor whose credentials were compromised. Attackers leveraged these third-party credentials to gain access to their point-of-sale systems, ultimately compromising the data of over 100 million customers. This highlights the critical need for strict access control and vendor security policies. A key component is employee hiring policies and background checks. When hiring new employees, organizations must evaluate cultural and ethical alignment with company values. Background checks, which may include social media screening, credit history, legal judgments, and criminal records. Skill assessment and personality evaluation to determine role suitability. While hiring policies vary between organizations, beyond qualifications, ensuring candidates do not pose security risks is vital. Now is the right time to understand risks associated with employee exit procedures. Security risks do not end with hiring. Proper exit management is equally important. 1. Learning from exit interviews. Former employees may provide valuable feedback on organizational processes. Insights can improve HR policies and security measures. 2. Revoking access and securing company assets. Laptops, smartphones, vehicles, and sensitive data must be retrieved. User accounts should not be immediately deleted, but instead disabled first, ensuring access is revoked in a controlled manner. Group memberships must be reviewed to ensure that the former employee no longer retains access to organizational resources. Let us talk about user awareness, security policies, and social media risks. Employees must be educated on organizational security policies, particularly regarding what they can and cannot share on social media about work-related topics, recognizing phishing scams, malware threats, and social engineering attacks, periodic training to reinforce security best practices. Some job roles require access to sensitive data, making data privacy training and compliance critical. Organizations must implement incident response strategies for data breach disclosures. Ensure compliance with regional data privacy regulations, which frequently change. Provide mandatory training for employees handling sensitive data. This training should be included in new hire onboarding, be ongoing and updated regularly to reflect new data protection laws. Clearly outline the consequences of mishandling sensitive data, whether intentional or accidental. Personnel management directly impacts organizational security. A well-structured security program should enforce the principle of least privilege to limit access rights. Implement zero-trust security to mitigate insider threats. Conduct thorough background checks during hiring. Revoke access securely during employee offboarding. Train employees regularly on security policies, social engineering, and data privacy. Ensure compliance with evolving privacy laws and incident response protocols. By addressing these risks at the personnel level, organizations can significantly reduce vulnerabilities and strengthen their overall security posture. Now, let us understand configuration management in DevOps and risk management. Configuration management plays a critical role in DevOps, particularly in the operations side of IT management. In this context, a configuration refers to an attribute or property related to a process, such as enforcing an organizational security policy, configuring a database, or setting security baselines for a cloud-hosted application. Thus, configuration management is a methodology designed to ensure system performance and security are maintained continuously. It acts as the end goal of a gap analysis, where a gap analysis defines the current state versus the desired state. Configuration management helps maintain that desired state over time. Unlike a short-term fix, configuration management governs configurations throughout the life cycle of a product, service, or process. While configuration management focuses on long-term control of configurations, change management deals with individual changes over the short term. Change management applies to major one-time changes, such as mergers and acquisitions, enterprise-wide OS upgrades, migrating to a VoIP phone system. Configuration management, on the other hand, involves tracking and managing database, web application, and virtual machine configurations over their lifespan, using version control systems like Git to track software code changes, maintaining historical records of system configurations for risk management and incident response. Let me take you through the components of a configuration management system. A configuration management ecosystem consists of three key components. 1. Configuration Management System, CMS, the top-level system in the configuration management hierarchy. 2. Configuration Management Database, CMDB, stores detailed configuration records and tracks configuration changes. Large organizations may have multiple CMDBs, categorized by projects, department, or geographic region. 3. Configuration Items, CIs, individual components managed throughout their lifecycle within the CMDB. I want to share a few examples of configuration management tools and CIs. There are several tools available to manage configurations and enforce desired state configurations, including Chef, Puppet, used for automating infrastructure configurations. Microsoft Configuration Manager, manages enterprise devices and software. Terraform, manages infrastructure as code to enforce cloud configurations. These tools provide a centralized inventory of network devices, servers, mobile endpoints, and desktops, including details such as hardware configurations, installed software, security settings and compliance status, change history over time. CIs represent anything an organization wants to track over time using configuration management. Examples include backend databases supporting web applications, network services like Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, DCP, cloud-based virtual network settings, operating system configurations on mobile or server devices, security policies governing an organization's IT infrastructure. Although CIs are considered organizational assets, not all assets can be managed through configuration management. Technology-related assets, such as servers, software, and security configurations, can be tracked using configuration management. Intellectual property, trade secrets, and other non-technical assets cannot be managed directly. However, configuration management can oversee the technology that protects intellectual property, such as access control mechanisms and encryption protocols. Let us take a look at the scenario where you're troubleshooting a performance issue using configuration management. Consider a custom in-house software application that experiences performance issues during peak hours. Recently, the system was reconfigured with a new data connector, and the problem only surfaced afterward. Using configuration management, the CMDB allows teams to trace back the changes that were made. IT teams can query the affected configuration items, CIs, and review historical records to determine how the new data connector impacted system performance. This information helps identify affected devices and implement corrective actions efficiently. Configuration management directly supports risk management by ensuring system configurations remain in a secure state over time, providing a historical record of changes for audits and compliance tracking, minimizing the risk of unauthorized or untested changes causing failures. Ultimately, configuration management provides a structured approach to maintaining secure, optimized, and compliant IT environments, making it an essential risk management tool in modern DevOps operations. Now, let us understand change management and risk mitigation. Any change introduces risk, and change management is the structured process of controlling risk associated with changes while minimizing disruptions to business operations. The core objective is to evaluate and mitigate potential risks before implementing changes, ensuring smooth transitions and reducing negative business impacts. Let us discuss key considerations in change management. When planning and executing changes, organizations must evaluate several critical factors. 1. What is changing? Are we modifying mobile device configurations? Are we updating organizational security policies? Are we implementing cultural changes within the organization? 2. Defining the scope of change. Does the change impact a small subset of devices? Example, only iPhones, not Androids? Is it an organization-wide transformation? Example, a change in company culture? 3. Timeline and duration. When will the change begin, and when is it expected to be completed? How long will the transition period last? 4. Impact analysis. Who will be affected and how? Will users experience disruptions? Example, requiring a device restart. Will the change interfere with other business initiatives? 5. Approval and rollback plan. Does the change require approval from the Change Advisory Board, CAB? What is the contingency plan, rollback strategy, if the change fails? ITIL change types and their role in change management. The ITIL Information Technology Infrastructure Library Framework categorizes changes into 3 standard change types, focusing on cost-effective IT service management while minimizing risk. 1. Standard change. Requires CAB approval only once for the initial implementation. Recognized as a routine, recurring change. Example, regular server patch updates. 2. Normal change. Requires CAB approval every time before execution. Typically one-time or infrequent changes. Example, updating website pages, not periodic but occurs multiple times. 3. Emergency change. Requires approval from an Emergency Change Advisory Board, ECAB. Used in urgent, high-impact situations. Example, restoring a mission-critical server that has gone offline. Effective change management governance requires standardized, repeatable procedures that define step-by-step implementation guidelines, minimize risk by ensuring careful execution, track and document changes over time. These procedures must be continuously refined based on past experiences, using configuration management solutions to track change history for products, devices, and services, analyze past changes to improve efficiency and reduce risk, identify rollback scenarios based on prior failures, legal, regulatory, and compliance considerations. If a change involves moving sensitive data, organizations must ensure compliance with data privacy laws and industry regulations, security standards governing temporary or permanent data storage. For example, if server configurations change and require temporary data storage relocation, Compliance with data protection regulations must be verified before implementation. Minimizing downtime and aligning with RTO, recovery time objective. Reducing downtime is a critical change management priority. Aligning with RTO ensures that, if a service goes down, it is restored as quickly as possible. Proper risk management reduces the likelihood of unplanned outages. Change management applies to various IT components, including hardware upgrades, example, replacing network routers, software updates and version upgrades, network reconfigurations, whether for physical network appliances or cloud-based virtual networks, process modifications related to IT service management. Here is the change management process flow. 1. Change request submission. Document the proposed change, including scope, who and what will be affected, timeline and expected outcomes. 2. Change evaluation. The Change Advisory Board, CAB, reviews the request. CAB is responsible for assessing feasibility and risk factors, prioritizing requests when multiple changes are proposed, approving or rejecting the change request. 3. Change approval and scheduling. Once approved, the change is scheduled based on business impact and risk assessment, minimizing disruption to daily operations. 4. Change implementation. The change is executed as per the predefined documentation. A rollback plan is ready in case of failure. 5. Post-implementation review. Evaluate whether the change caused disruptions. Identify lessons learned to improve future change management practices. Understanding where risks arise in change management allows organizations to take proactive measures to minimize business disruptions, ensure legal and regulatory compliance, reduce downtime through structured change tracking, implement repeatable processes for change execution. By following structured change management principles, organizations can safeguard IT systems, enhance security, and improve operational resilience. Auditing is another area that plays a key role in risk management. Let us dive deep into it to understand its role. Auditing provides a systematic way to trace events over time, ensuring the accuracy, integrity, and validity of organizational assertions. Audits can be conducted by internal teams, but for greater objectivity and credibility, organizations often rely on external auditors. Auditing can cover various aspects of an organization, depending on the focus area. 1. Business process audits. Evaluate operational procedures, such as accounts payable and receivable workflows. Ensure financial and administrative processes adhere to internal policies and industry best practices. 2. IT security audits. Assess IT systems, applications, and security policies to identify vulnerabilities. Provide insights into an organization's security posture. Help achieve regulatory compliance and proactively manage risk. 3. Financial audits. Essential for compliance with financial reporting standards, such as the Sarbanes-Oxley SOX Act. Ensure that financial statements accurately reflect an organization's financial health. Provide stakeholders, including investors, with assurances of financial integrity. IT audits can assess the effectiveness of security policies in controlling behavior and reducing risk. These audits can be applied to specific IT systems, applications, and data repositories. Compliance with laws and security standards, such as PCI DSS, which governs the protection of cardholder data. Network and system logs, ensuring that recorded events are accurate and trustworthy. Let us learn about different types of IT auditing. 1. Log auditing. Examines logs from network appliances, individual hosts, and applications. ensures log integrity. If logs cannot be trusted, security assessments become unreliable. Analyzes logged security events to detect anomalies, security breaches, or policy violations. 2. Administrative procedure auditing. Tracks firewall rule changes, user account creations, and system configuration modifications. Ensures proper documentation and compliance with security policies. 3. Vulnerability assessments and penetration testing. Vulnerability assessments identify weaknesses in systems, networks, or applications. Penetration testing actively exploits vulnerabilities to measure the strength of security defenses. 4. File system auditing. Windows NTFS auditing. Audits file access events on NTFS file systems to track user activity. Helps prevent unauthorized data access and detect potential insider threats. Configurable to monitor specific file locations, reducing excessive log entries and focusing on high-value security events. 5. Group policy auditing in Windows environments. Centralized auditing via Microsoft Active Directory, AD, ensures uniform security policy enforcement across an organization. Administrators can enable auditing policies centrally, applying them to all or specific machines within an Active Directory domain. Cloud environments require continuous security auditing to monitor administrative actions and access control. Example: in Microsoft Azure, a storage account's activity log tracks administrative actions, such as deleting storage accounts and whether the action succeeded or failed, identifying the administrator responsible and their associated IP address. This level of auditing provides visibility into management-level activities and helps identify unauthorized access or policy violations. Auditing plays a crucial role in identifying security gaps and weaknesses that can be addressed through stronger security controls to mitigate identified risks, better compliance with regulatory standards, enhanced transparency and accountability across business and IT operations. By conducting regular audits, organizations can detect vulnerabilities before they are exploited, ensure compliance with financial, security, and regulatory requirements, improve IT security posture through proactive risk management. Ultimately, auditing serves as a powerful tool for organizations to strengthen security, maintain compliance, and enhance operational efficiency. Let us shift our attention to service-level objectives and service-level agreements and their role in risk management. Service-level objectives and service-level agreements are critical components of risk management, particularly in IT service delivery and cloud computing. They help organizations measure service performance, set expectations, and mitigate risks associated with outsourcing IT services. What are SLO and SLA? SLO, Service Level Objective. It is an internal performance metric used by IT teams or developers to track whether service quality meets predefined objectives. SLA, Service Level Agreement. It is a contractual agreement between a service provider and a customer that guarantees specific service levels. Example: uptime, response times. Example of an SLO. A web application developer may define an SLO stating that server crashes must remain below 1% of total uptime. If this threshold is met, the SLO is considered successful. SLO are typically detailed and granular, feeding into broader SLA, which define formal commitments to customers. SLA and risk management in cloud computing. SLA are particularly important in cloud computing, where organizations outsource IT services to third-party providers. By relying on external vendors, businesses engage in risk transference, meaning they delegate IT responsibilities, but must ensure that SLA align with their business and operational objectives. For example, When using Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Services, organizations must carefully review SLA to understand guaranteed service uptime, compensation, service credits for SLA violations, exclusions, and limitations. Organizations using Microsoft Azure must refer to the most recent SLA documents to properly assess risk. For example, SLA for static web apps, deployment minutes, the total time an application is actively running, downtime definition, the cumulative time during which the application is unavailable, uptime percentage calculation. The uptime percentage is calculated by determining the total time a service was available and comparing it to the total possible operational time. Subtract the total downtime from the maximum available minutes, the total time the service was supposed to be running. Divide the result by the maximum available minutes to get the proportion of time the service remained operational. Multiply by 100 to express the result as a percentage. In other words, uptime percentage measures how often a service was available during its scheduled operating time. Service credit policy. For 99.95% uptime, 10% service credit to be given. For 99% uptime, 25% service credit to be given. Each Azure service has a distinct SLA, making it essential for businesses to review the specific SLA terms for each cloud resource they depend on. SLA for Azure storage accounts covers blob storage, binary large objects, message queues, and shared folders. Includes maximum processing times for uploading, retrieving, and copying files. Variations in SLA terms based on storage operations highlight the importance of reviewing details before committing to a service. Just like Azure, Amazon Web Services provides detailed SLA across multiple services. 1. Amazon Web Services S3 SLA, Simple Storage Service, defines monthly uptime percentage thresholds for S3 buckets. Outlines service credit percentages for non-compliance. Allows customers to submit credit requests for SLA violations. Each Amazon Web Services SLA includes exclusions, such as events beyond AWS's control, force majeure, natural disasters, regulatory changes, customer-caused outages due to misconfigurations. SLAs are essential for IT governance, ensuring that outsourced services meet organizational requirements. Key steps in managing third-party risk include reviewing SLA terms carefully before selecting a provider, ensuring uptime commitments align with business needs, understanding compensation structures, service credits for SLA breaches, recognizing exclusions and limitations that may affect service reliability. SLAs set clear expectations between service providers and customers, reducing operational risk associated with IT outsourcing. By thoroughly evaluating SLO and SLA, organizations can ensure IT service continuity and resilience, mitigate the impact of downtime on business operations, align third-party contracts with internal risk management frameworks. By incorporating SLA assessments into IT governance, businesses can make informed decisions and ensure service reliability, compliance, and operational efficiency. Now is the time to learn about chain of custody in evidence collection and handling. The chain of custody refers to the systematic collection, tracking, and documentation of evidence to ensure its authenticity and integrity throughout its life cycle. It serves as a paper trail, documenting every individual who has handled the evidence, along with date and timestamps, the reason for access, and procedures followed. The chain of custody is critical in legal proceedings, as it provides proof that evidence has remained untampered. Without a properly maintained chain of custody, evidence may not be admissible in a court of law. There are multiple stages in the chain of custody. 1. Evidence collection. The chain of custody begins with gathering evidence, requiring meticulous documentation of collection methods. Identification of the evidence. What is being collected? Authorization. Was a warrant issued for collection? Collection procedures. How is the evidence being gathered? Technology used. What forensic tools are being utilized? Personnel involved. Who is present during the collection process? When handling digital evidence, special considerations must be made. Photographic documentation. Screenshots or photos may be taken, particularly before shutting down a device. Continuous power supply. Mobile power units may be required to prevent digital evidence loss. Example: some malicious actors configure systems to automatically encrypt data upon shutdown, making evidence recovery impossible. 2. Secured evidence storage. Once collected, evidence must be stored in a secured facility. Locked evidence storage rooms with restricted access. Access logging. Each time evidence is accessed, it must be date and timestamped, documenting who accessed it, name, badge number, organization, why it was accessed, reason for handling, case number reference. Proper storage conditions are essential. Anti-static bags to protect digital devices. Climate-controlled environments for long-term preservation. Sealing and labeling to ensure evidence remains untampered. Power maintenance, certain devices, example, those with internal batteries, may require continuous power to prevent data loss. 3. Evidence handling and security measures. Every interaction with the evidence must be recorded, preventing unauthorized access and ensuring evidence integrity. Sign-in and sign-out logs can be physical, digital, or both. Release and receipt documentation. Unique IDs assigned for evidence movement. Secure transfer methods. Chain of custody forms must be updated every time evidence is accessed, moved, or analyzed. Security risks and countermeasures include preventing tampering. Chain of custody must prove evidence integrity, ensuring it has not been altered. Physical and digital security. Use of Faraday bags to prevent wireless communication with confiscated mobile devices. Hazardous evidence handling. Safety protocols must be followed if the evidence involves hazardous materials. 4. Long-term evidence storage. Once secured, evidence must be stored for extended periods, sometimes decades, depending on legal requirements. Storage facilities are highly restricted. Only authorized personnel may access them. Detailed labeling and access logs, documenting who accessed the evidence and why. Maintaining forensic integrity. Storage conditions must prevent environmental degradation. Let us learn about chain of custody documentation components. A sample chain of custody evidence form includes case number and offense type, first responder and suspect information, date, time, and location of evidence collection, list of seized evidence, each assigned a unique label number, tracking details, who accessed it, when, date and timestamp, reason for access, final disposition of evidence. Let us understand why the chain of custody matters. It ensures legal admissibility. Without proper documentation, evidence may lose credibility in court. Protects evidence integrity. Prevents tampering, data loss, or unauthorized access. Maintains security standards. Ensures compliance with legal, forensic, and organizational protocols. Facilitates investigations. Allows law enforcement and forensic teams to trace evidence handling accurately. By maintaining a clear, well-documented chain of custody, organizations can safeguard evidence, uphold forensic integrity, and meet legal requirements for investigations and court proceedings. Throughout this discussion, we have explored how IT governance principles can be effectively aligned with business objectives to strengthen security, compliance, and risk management. We began by examining IT security governance through the implementation of security programs. We analyzed the COBIT framework and its role in establishing structured IT governance. We discussed the importance of organizational security policies and the impact of security culture on risk management. We covered gap analysis as a tool for identifying security gaps and aligning IT strategies with business needs. We explored supply chain security and the risks associated with third-party dependencies. We reviewed personnel management and the critical role of access controls and insider threat mitigation. We examined configuration and change management, emphasizing structured processes for maintaining IT stability. We highlighted the importance of IT auditing and risk assessment tools in maintaining compliance and operational resilience. We discussed service-level objectives and service-level agreements and their role in setting performance expectations and managing vendor risks. Finally, we explored the chain of custody, ensuring evidence integrity and security in forensic investigations. By integrating these governance principles, organizations can enhance security posture, ensure regulatory compliance, and align IT initiatives with overarching business strategies. A strong IT governance framework not only mitigates risk, but also supports operational efficiency and long-term success in an evolving digital landscape. If this content added value to your day, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more. Thank you for tuning in. Your time and engagement are truly appreciated. Stay informed, stay secure, and I look forward to seeing you in the next topic. Until then, take care.